Initiating moisture.
Prove yourself worthy, and I will grant you the means to true power.
Growing up, I was groomed to be the world's most accurate moisture measuring analyst on the planet. It was my destiny to measure moisture content in all forms of media, a gift bestowed upon me by the gods in anime. Now I'm using that gift to measure the moisture content of Destiny 2. I held off on reviewing this. I've played a lot of Destiny 2, but I wanted to wait for the raid to come out to review it in order to give it a very proper and thorough sprinkle of gumdrops here for an accurate moist meter on it. So let's go ahead and start. First thing I want to get out of the way, this game is exactly like the first Destiny. UI is pretty much the same, the gameplay is the same. If you've played Destiny 1, you've played the gameplay for Destiny 2. I'm not saying that is a bad thing. I'm not saying it is a great thing. When it comes to first-person shooters, there's not a whole lot you can do to innovate. If you have a successful formula, it's best to just kind of keep that formula and build upon it. In my opinion, I don't think they really built upon it very much. Everything's just way too similar. They could have done some different stuff with the classes instead of just slight tweaks and a little different shit. But that's just a personal opinion. If you like Destiny 1's gameplay, you'll like Destiny 2 gameplay. The big difference between Destiny 2 and Destiny 1 is they actually tried to tell a story here. In the first 30 minutes of Destiny 2, there's more exposition than the entirety of Destiny 1. In the first game, trying to find a story or lore in that universe was akin to trying to find a toenail clipping in a sensory deprivation tank that's a football field's length. But here, there's a story, there's a purpose, there's a reason to be doing the things that you're doing. Now, I don't think the story's that great. I think it's pretty poorly told. I think it's even laughable in some parts. There's still a lot more questions without answers. A lot of things are still mysterious. I think the universe is great, but the story itself is just kind of lame. The main characters are decent. They're not bad. They're not fleshed out or anything, nor do they try to be. They're decently written. They have their own little personalities, but it doesn't make them stand out or be memorable. You won't think back on Destiny 2 and remember any of the characters in any positive way, if you even remember them at all. You won't think to yourself, fuck, Zavala was cool, that Dr. Manhattan looking motherfucker was just a great character, can't wait to dress as him for Halloween. The voice actors for these characters probably won't even remember these roles. But the story has never been the big draw for the Destiny franchise. It'd be an added bonus if they fleshed out their universe and really put their best foot forward for it. But that's not what milks the dicks for these games. It's all about the gunplay, the looting, the cool looking shit. That's what it's about. Destiny 2 has that. The gunplay is fun. The weapons look badass, at least some of them. A couple of them look like they're just made out of fucking paper in a third grade classroom, but for the most part, the weapons look great. They feel great to shoot. The gunplay is crisp, responsive. The abilities, I think, are very lackluster. A lot of the abilities are just exactly the same. They do the same amount of damage, have pretty much the same utility. It's just the difference between the abilities is like the same difference between a multi-grain Cheerio and a regular Cheerio. You can't taste the fucking difference, but there is a slight difference. It's just kind of a letdown that these abilities aren't cooler, aren't more unique. But one thing about this game that is unique is the visual style. Everything is just drop dead gorgeous, absolutely splooge material beautiful. Everything is look at this. Jesus, I can't say jaw dropping. Holy shit. The beauty of the game has taken the ability for me to say jaw dropping away from me. It is just a really good looking game. That's the point I'm trying to fucking make. Everything looks really, really nice. And another thing that really stood out was the music. The soundtrack in this game was very lovely. Beautiful stuff. I was very, very surprised that the soundtrack wasn't just the generic, dumb, stupid sci-fi shit that you're used to hearing 1,000 times over. Now let's move on to the next big talking point here, the raid. The new raid that just dropped. Everyone's talking about it. You can't go to a supermarket without them talking about the new goddamn Destiny 2 raid. Is it good? Yeah, it's pretty good. For the most part, except for one piece of shit. Unnecessary, abominable abortion of game design. It is the second big room in the raid where you have to sneak past dogs. It's called Pleasure Garden, and there is no pleasure to be had at all. It is miserable. It is a stealth section in this game that just doesn't work because the AI isn't responsive enough. It's broken. It just doesn't function the way it should. It is the most unfun experience I've had in a first-person shooter in a very, very long time. It is a sandwich where the bread is nails and the inside of the bread is cockroaches. It is painful. It is incredibly boring. There is not an iota of fun to be had in this pleasure garden segment of this raid. It is so bad, I just can't even fathom the thought process. I can't wait for their next expansion where one of the raids will have a fucking trivia room on the fucking daily routine of some of the designers. That'll be fun. That'll be a really fun room. Except you can't look up the answers anywhere and it's not multiple choice, you just kind of have to guess, fill in the blank. Can't wait for that room, Bungie. This room just makes no sense in the context of this game. There is no reason the Pleasure Garden room should exist in the form that it does. It's so bad. It is so incredibly bad, I can't find enough words for it. But apart from that, the raid is fun. It looks nice, of course. It's challenging, but a fun kind of challenging, and it's very different. And I liked it. Except for that fucking Pleasure Garden room. I don't think there's a single person out there that can defend the Pleasure Garden room. It had to just been a joke at Bungie. Hey, let's fuck with our players here by putting this stupid room in here. They'll love it. Or if they don't, we'll love it. Now let's move on. Let's wrap this all up here. What is the moisture content here? What is the moisture percentage? It is a 70% moisture. This game does a lot of things right. There was a lot of things they fixed from the first game into this one. There was a lot of things they've kind of tweaked a little bit, but I don't think there was enough differentiation between the first game and the second game to really wow anyone. It just was pretty much the same experience you were used to in the first game coming to the second one. Now, I don't usually like to compare sequels to the predecessors, but for this one it's really hard not to, since this game is marketed to the people who played the first one. Most people who are interested in Destiny 2 are the people who played Destiny 1. It's not really targeted for a new audience to come into this. And it doesn't try to either. And that's not a bad thing, not at all. It's just I don't think it was very different. This could have been just a big Destiny 1.5 here. It's not a full-blown new experience. They tried a couple different things with the story and stuff, and I appreciate the effort. The story wasn't super great though. But there's just a lot more they could have done to really improve the experience. But as it stands right now, there's a lot of content here, a lot of time you'll be putting into the game. It's a very grindy game. So if you're not a big fan of grinding it out for power levels and shit, probably not a game you'd enjoy. But it's beautiful. The gunplay's fun. It's a great first-person shooter for the most part. There's just a lot of things that could have been better. And the raid, it could have been a whole lot better without that second fucking room, the Pleasure Garden. Fuck that room. But yeah, that's it. See ya.